Welcome to the podcast series, the first of which I'm going to be talking to Mike Mathews, Vice President for Innovation and Chief Information Officer at Oral Roberts University. The topic is Intelligent Campus. It's going to be based on that. Mike's been a pioneer of AI and innovation at ORU. He's been speaking very eloquently about how AI is transforming higher education. Welcome, Mike. I'm glad to have you here.
Hey, Ratnaker, great to be with you. We go back so many years and watch the trends, and now we both say, what a day to live in with AI. Incredible.
That's correct, yeah. AI has been on the forefront for the last couple of years now, and it looks like times come where institutions are expecting execution more than theory.
People would say it's the perfect storm in a way, but when you factor in maybe 300 college campuses have had to shut down, go bankrupt, combine with somebody else over the last 8 years, the writing's on the wall. You've got to sharpen the pencil, the old saying, but now you got to sharpen your tech skills because somebody has to be able to take the old systems that haven't really worked that well, add AI, but then make them work together. I think it's going to be a select few that really shine through this. I'll call it the year of enlightenment.
2026 is going to be the year of enlightenment, like you said. Yeah. Mike, I hear administrators are feeling the pressure to move to AI. What's driving this?
At its core, if people could stay the same, including administrators, they would. However, the pressure from board of trustees now who manage banks, manufacturing companies, financial institutions, startup companies, all know that they're changing with AI, and therefore the pressure comes to say, what are we doing as a board, as a university with AI? There's no way out. You've got to be using it.
You think the academic community is ready for administration starting to use AI?
I say it this way. I'm at Oral Roberts University for 11 years, and I've never seen a technology, not in 11 years, but over 25 years, that faculty have embraced. Here's why. People are selfish by nature. We all are, right? I remember holding up a smartphone for the first time and telling people how it's going to change things. And most people fought that, right? Why? Because you have to tell them all the mechanics of it, which buttons to push at the right time, to click on this one. AI is the only technology this far in my lifetime that's intuitive to faculty. As they speak, it gives a response back naturally, right? It's so easy for them to start seeing the benefit because it's in their language, it's in their discipline, it's in their vocabulary, if you'd say it that way. So here at Oral Roberts University, I'm amazed at how faculty are almost faster in what you say, pushing it than the IT department.
How are you handling the different silos of data?
Great question. We're fortunate at ORU that we fixed that problem probably 5 years ago. We are one of the only universities who can tell you how much soy milk product every student drinks or bacon they eat, and how does it correlate to their grades and student success and so forth. We've found a way, the old word data lake, right? The data lake never really existed. It was just a sort of a platform, if you'd say it that way, where you could try to normalize data. The real sharp people who heard the term a smart campus started realizing that data is the gold that will allow you to make better decisions, more timely decisions. I would say to everybody out there, if you haven't fixed your silos, you better fix those because you may have a bigger mess on your hand.
Is AI replacing human effort?
I think the word is this. We choose to do this. AI will not replace a person. Rather, a person who knows AI will replace the person who doesn't know AI. I've been around a long time. You have as well. The workforce fears there are going to be truck drivers that are autonomous. I see trucks down the road every day. They're hiring truck drivers, right? Our fears generally never come to pass. However, we don't pay attention to the shifts that happen. And I think that's what AI is going to do, a pretty good shift where we don't do things the way we used to do them anymore.
Mike, I like how you had put it in a conversation recently where you said AI is not just artificial intelligence, but augmented intelligence.
There we go. Yep.
It's a good way to look at it. It's augmenting the human intelligence, and AI plus human effort brings great results.
I just did this, which was very satisfying to me, Ratnaker. I had a report due to the president's office, which said, how do we compare with our number one institutions that we say compete against, but we call them pure institutions? I took 11 other universities who are similar and told AI in 4 different ways how to report back how Oral Roberts University ranks against those. I was blown away. I've been doing AI for a while, but the reason I was blown away was it dawned on me, when I give this report that makes us look pretty good, I'll get accused of maybe fabricating the numbers or something. We all do. You're trying to make it sound more rosy than what it is. Why not? The truth was, when that came out and you look like the leader by far, I said, guess what? I never touched the data. If you're going to say something was misrepresented, blame AI. But the truth is, if you use the right AI engines, all it's doing is picking up the pieces of truth or fragments of data around the world and correlating that together and collating it then in a report that makes a lot of sense for people. Normally, that would have took me at least 3 weeks of work. It took 3 hours.
Great. How else is Oral Roberts embracing AI?
Every year for the last 3 years, we've had to report to the board what cool things are we doing with AI, but also what significant operational improvements with AI. We do both. We need the cool factor. I had a digital twin in AI probably 7 years ago already. Thus, we've got 17 years of consecutive growth. Without that operational improvement, though, we're just looking cool. So warning to everybody, if you want to look cool with AI, that's easy. Change something that people can say you made a marked difference for the benefit of students. That's a whole nother matter.
Great. Mike, I can share a lot of use cases where AI is helping reduce cost of administration. I'm pretty sure you're seeing that too. It's a factor that's playing into AI adoption at a lot of institutions, especially outside of higher education. Higher education is embracing it too. We recently had a couple of wins at University of Missouri where we have brought in AI to improve our processing, especially in the finance area. When you talk to the CFOs, they love it. We bring down the cost of administration. Are there any such use cases that you see coming down the road, which is going to be very crucial in success of an higher education institution?
Yeah, I think there's a report that went out to 500 CEOs around the world, not related to higher education. Every CEO said they would prefer to have one of their board of trustees or board members be an AI assistant instead. It has to do with emotion. It has to do with getting facts instead of all the opinions of people. If you can balance it out, hey, I want to hear all the opinions, I want to get all the feedback, but I also want to hear something that's not emotionally attached to the outcome. Now, multiply that times about 500 little entities on every college campus. Somebody's got a biased desire for a certain outcome, and wrong decisions get made in that predicament. However, when you use AI, and one would say, how do you ask the data questions? I love what Oracle has, or which company came up with it, called Ask Data. That makes so much sense. Now, I go back probably 15 years ago with Lone Star College System, and we did a video to help students called Ask the Data. It was a video clip that said, let's look at what the data says students want instead of what the employees think that students want. The data was more accurate than the opinions of people, but that's normal, right? I don't think anybody's going to get carried away. I don't want to replace relationships. I love relationships, but I also have to make decisions a lot quicker, have to spend less time on mundane tasks. And so we really need to have the capability of asking the data what it represents. At Oral Roberts University, I'm here 11 years, president, I think 12 now, and that's good experience. However, it doesn't compare to the 50 years of data because you can learn from the 50 years prior, but what if AI lets you go across other universities and pick up their knowledge as well, which it does. I'm just not asking the data that's in our student information system. I'm asking the data in other people's student information system. Why do I know that? Because I'm familiar with iPads. I'm familiar with all the national reports, all the state reports that have to be filled out. That's public information. Why not ask the data what it knows? Why are these 5 schools maybe declining enrollment and these 5 schools picking up enrollment? What are they doing to get there? That's all possible now. That's exciting.
That's exciting. Ask data is an interesting concept, and you're right. It can be used in many ways. One of the scenarios that we were talking to at one of the institutions recently, just last week, the institution was interested in trying to use Ask data in a way where key administrators could key in sitting at a desk instead of waiting for institutional research or IT to give them a report on what the enrollment is like. They would love to have a scenario where the president or dean types in and say, hey, what's my enrollment like today? Break it down by gender, class, in-state, out-state, whatever you want. Put it in a graphical way. It all can be done in minutes or less than. We have come there.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Rotnacher, because it had to be 15 years ago. I go to a major student information system company and say, you know what every president would love? They would love a simulator of the student information system. So at the weekend or at home, they can ask questions to the simulator and it simulates the response. The average president's not going to log into the student information system. They're not going to remember the tables or the screens. However, now AI really accomplishes that simulation by just accessing data, almost what we would say transparently, supernaturally, but it's not. Fundamentally, AI is nothing more than finally reaching an era of time where all the integrations are seamless or more seamless, and the internet speed via a smartphone are accessible. To have that accessibility from home, but simply speak into something and get a response. Oh my, the person giving the response isn't going to give you any flap. Oh, I think you're looking at it wrong. Or I heard the school down the road does this. All the excuses that humans come up with. And I don't fault people because we're all human, right? We do human things.
Exactly.
A machine doesn't do human things. If you could figure and master the way that, oh, I don't want the human element in this kind of thing, but I do over here. If you could separate those, I think the winner takes all. Amazon would be the winner. And I think they're a great test case, by the way. If you look at Amazon, everybody wants to be a Prime customer. They've implemented AI years ago. If you watch their graph, there's a graph out there, I think by World Bank, that shows the more AI that Amazon used, the more employees they hired, not the opposite. When you sell a good product, because you use AI to make your product more excellent and your services more excellent, you get more customers. And what if we called them Prime students?
Awesome. Mike, a year from now, what you and I will be talking about?
A year from now, you and I would be talking about maybe the 100 college campuses that are on the verge of bankruptcy, closure, in a way that says the writing was on the wall, right? Blockbuster, the writing was on the wall for them. They didn't heed the warning. We just live in a different era of time, right? I think the people that will be transforming aren't selling computer systems. I love Oracle from this regard, right? Oracle's a great company, but they're so busy selling product that they forgot it's about selling the output of the product. If we could ever get to the point, and I think that's what we'll be talking about in a year, what if I told you, let's take Illusion, let's take PeopleSoft, let's take Workday, and they said to me, Mike, we want to come and have a conversation with you, and we're going to give you intelligence before you buy our system. Rather, for years, they've been saying, buy our system and you'll get some intelligence, and nobody ever sees it. The carrot is the system, but in the future, we're going to be talking about the carrot really was what it can do if you are in relationship with that company. It's going to be fun to watch a little bit of shakeout going on.
Great. Mike, I appreciate your time. This has been a great conversation. We'd love to have you again sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to be on again. To everyone out there, enjoy the ride. This is probably one of the most exciting times in the history of the world, and you get to be a part of it.
Thank you, Mike. Have a great evening.
Yep. You as well, Ron Knocker.